yeah, I mean, there's not going to be too many. I just so much enjoyed this practice on Sunday. I wanted to share it again, and actually, neither of you were there, so that's fine. So it'll be new for you. So we're gonna move onto our mats, and we do need quite a bit of gear for this practice. It's quite we're going to use quite a few props. So yeah, there might be, it'll all be familiar. I think all of it will be familiar, and it's got quite a slow rhythm to it. So we're going to start off with a bolster across the mat. And I was emphasizing this at the weekend, but I don't particularly want to work into the pelvis because, well, a couple of weeks ago, we did a whole weekend really focusing on the pelvis. So I suggest a couple of cushions for your legs. I'm just going to get another one. And so we're going to focus on the thoracic spine, shoulder, and particularly the shoulder. So, yeah, I mean, it's just blissful, but it might be different this time, of course. So we're going to come down to place the tips of the shoulder blades, so the lower part of the shoulder blades on the support. And so one position that may or may not work for you. So we're going to take the arms up. I've got my feet into Supta Baddha Konasana, but I'm supporting the thighs because I really want to keep the work in the legs really low key. So you would take the arms up and then we do this thing of self-embracing. So it might be you let your hands, your arms hang at around the throat area. It doesn't have to be over the chest. And it may or may not work for you, this arm position. So I'm just letting the arms drape over the upper body, well over the upper chest and throat area for a moment or two, with the intention to broaden that space across the back of the body between the shoulder blades. I'm going to invite you to close the eyes. And we're moving into this practice, so taking our time to get going. So this is a really useful pose, as we know, to connect and slow down and stop. So allow you to connect with the breath, with the whole body experience, sense of your energy, whether you're feeling agitated or calm, rested or tired. So we'll take a few moments to arrive. Okay, so there is like a process of, yeah, sometimes we describe this as arriving. Not really like a scientific term, that, but there's a process of engaging with your experience, turning your attention inwards, especially if you've had quite a busy day or you've been quite busy just in the last few moments before the session. So there's this process of letting go of that activity, letting go of the external world, and starting to come in, sort of crawl in to your body and the sensations in the body. So I'm going to suggest you take your arms out and recross. So if this doesn't work for you with the arms, then take up a different position with the arms. So I'm doing this to open that space. I'll bring awareness to that space between the shoulder blades. So now tuning in with any specific areas that might be drawing or calling your attention. So the areas that feel tender or sore or tight. Or maybe there's areas that feel more open or pleasurable. And then asking yourself how you are for a moment, so we can check in with that now and again during the session. Coming back to this question of how we are, really with a sense of kindly listening. That's the intention. Kindly listening with receptivity, with compassion, we could say. So being aware of any tendencies on the mind, mental level. Okay, with the arms now, I'd like you to take them up above the head and parallel to the floor. So I have done this on other occasions. So we're going to slightly activate the arms now. So just for the last 5 breaths in this pose, I want you to extend very lightly the arms away from you, away from the back of the top of the head. Sense of lengthening from or through the side waist, through the side body, through the shoulders, through to the fingertips. I'm turning my palms towards each other. So we're bringing like a more active dynamic into the upper body and lengthening. And with the breath, also we can deepen the inhales. So as we inhale, lifting the breath, if it's comfortable, up into the chest area. With the exhale, you can release, but the inhale, deepening if you can. So this will enhance, stretch through the thoracic area. The arms can be more active. You can play with how active the arms are. Can be more engaged or less engaged, but engaged. Noticing if there's any tense areas, maybe more on one side than the other. One last breath. Inhaling. Exhaling, and then releasing the arms. We're going to bring the arms now around. So rather than sitting up, I bring the inner legs together. We're going to slide towards, keep the head low, sliding towards your feet. So the head is on the bolster or the roll, and then we'll push the roll out of the way. Get rid of the cushions for now. And being in semi-supine, again aware of your body, whole body, noticing the effect of that pose. From there, we're going to roll to one side and come into kneeling. Yeah, we've done this many a time. So this is really like a preparation warm-up. So I'm just sitting on the feet, okay, sitting on the heels. If that doesn't work, you can always, for whatever reason, if you want to go easier on your body, then lift the seat. You can sit on your bolster, for example. You're going to extend the arms out like 2 wings and then tip the fingers in onto the tops of the shoulders. And we start off drawing little circles and lengthening from the underside of the arm out to the elbow. And being aware of which direction you're going in. So starting off a really small movement, like you're drawing a penny piece on each wall opposite. Like a little circle. You're closing the eyes. That helps to take your attention into your body. And then we start to open that circle out, spiraling out gradually. Sense of the spine long. Have this image of it's a movement somehow associated with when you take off a shirt or a vest or a blouse or something. We have to reach back and pull. So opening up this circle, maybe bringing the elbows together in front of you a couple of times, 2 or 3 times. Noticing either side of the body, each shoulder is different for sure. And then slowing down, going smaller with the circle gradually. Being aware of which direction you're going in. I'm going to just go into the other side. So changing direction, starting off on a small circle. So we're not going to rest between sides. So starting off with a small circle. Again, but going the opposite way now. So this will probably get a bit more challenging just because we're doing it for longer. Opening that circle out again. And again, exploring the full capacity of the shoulder, or within reason. See if you can bring the elbows together in front, up, out to the sides. Sense of lengthening from the center of the body out to the elbows. And then again, we can make that circle each time a wee bit smaller. And gradually into stillness, smaller and smaller the circle. And then, yeah, we're going to rest the arms. So release the arms out and just rest them into your lap for a moment. You can close the eyes, growing your spine, feeling sensations around the shoulders, that sense of glow, warmth. Maybe it's highlighting some tension in that area or blockage. And from here, we're going to release out and come into child's pose. So maybe, yeah, we've been kneeling there, so opening the backs of the legs one at a time for a moment. And I'm going to come into child's pose. Again, this will be a familiar movement. So I want you to turn your head to the left and bring your hands around the back of the sacrum. So I've got the backs of the hands resting down onto the sacrum. Sort of, yeah, just lightly there. I'm turning my head to the left. Okay, so this is a movement called Vajrasana. So as we inhale, I'm going to reach up with the left hand, reach up and look up. Sense of pulling the left shoulder down as I turn now to the right and bring the head down. So the left side of the head rests on the floor. I'm looking to my right. Now the right hand goes up. I'm reaching up, I'm looking up. Shoulder blades moving down. As I exhale, I'm turning to the left. And coming down. So making this a really smooth, coordinated movement between the legs, upper body, and the shoulder. We're turning away from the arm as it drops down. And alternating sides. As we're reaching up, we're looking up. Shoulder blades moving down the back. As you exhale and come down, you're turning away from the down arm. And just carrying on, a few more cycles, inhaling, coming up. Exhaling, coming down. I've got my inner legs more or less together. I can explore taking the arm out to the side quite actively, out to the side and down. So really, there's a sense of pulling the shoulder blade down. So we're mobilizing around the shoulder blade. And listening to your own breath, your own rhythm. Gaze goes up with the inhale. One more time on each side. And this time when you come down, bring the forehead to the floor and release the arms down by your sides. Tuning in with the breath. On an inhale, coming into all fours. So build up a little bit of strength movement now. So I've got my knees about hip width, hands underneath the shoulders. We're doing cat-cow, but emphasizing the thoracic area. So really bringing your awareness into the upper back. As you exhale, look back. We're emphasizing more, pushing into that space between the shoulder blades as we inhale, lengthening sternum to throat. As you exhale, you're grounding the palms and there's a sense of pushing into that space between the shoulder blades, that area that we were first becoming aware of in the first pose. That intra-scapular area. So between the shoulder blades, thoracic spine in that area. Coming into now neutral spine, I want you to bring your inner legs together. So it gets a bit more intense now. Again, on an inhale, opposite leg arm, reaching out, looking forwards, exhale. All fours again, inhale, opposite leg arm. Reaching out from the center to the periphery, come back. We can also look forwards as we inhale. And look down as we exhale. This tiger stretch. The sense of walking but not going anywhere. Exhale, making that as precise a movement as you can. So moving with the breath, synchronizing with the breath, moving into full extension on the end of the inhale. Back to all fours on the exhale. This works a little bit into the whole body length, core strengthening. Bringing the inner legs together each time, that will help with your balance. Okay, from there, take a pause. Take a pause, let your arms rest forwards now, forehead down. Resting for a moment to child's pose. And inhale back to all fours. Once again, knees together, more or less together. And yeah, we've done this before as well. So it's like, this is something I learned off Saladas. We inhale, we reach back Might not look very much, but it will feel like you're really working. So you reach back and try and draw your elbow into the center line, and then exhale back to all fours. Inhale, reach back as though you are reaching the back foot. Obviously, you're not going to touch the back foot. And switch sides, aiming to really ground the lower hand and lift away from the floor. Alternating at your own rhythm, surprisingly demanding. Certainly the first few goes with this. Inhaling, I'm reaching back, bending the back leg, opposites again. With the grounding hand pushing through the floor to lift, sense of lifting the chest. Okay, and then relax back again into child's pose. Leave the arms forwards or take them back, it's up to you, but relaxing, releasing. Feeling any heat that you're gently generating now. Connecting with the breath. From all fours again, into all fours. We're going to take the left leg back, straight back, bend at the knee. So this time, I'd like you to see if you can reach the foot. So we're going to reach back with the right hand towards the inner foot or inner shin or ankle. And gently, so we're emphasizing pressing through that front arm to ground and lift the chest. And lifting gently the back knee. Okay, so it's a bit of a balance pose, bit of a thigh stretch, and some weight bearing into the left arm in this case. I can push the shin towards the right hand. There's also a bit of a stretch in the shoulder, the right shoulder. And that's flexion and internal rotation there, and then release. And switch sides, so right leg goes back, bending at the knee, taking weight into your right arm, reaching back. This is really not an easy pose to do with a strap, so it's best to just, I think, reach into space. If you don't actually reach the foot, just aim to reach through the space, because a strap just is a faff to try and do with a strap. So pressing through the right hand, there's a little bit of rotation in the upper body. Taking my left shoulder back and in. Grounding right hand. Sense of length through the front body. Breathing now. Okay, and then release. This time we're going to take the arms, separate the knees, take the arms through the legs. And enjoy that sense of pressure on the outer arms, inner legs on the outer arms, if that's restful. Forehead resting down. And inhale, lifting up. So we're going to move into a more weight-bearing, more intense weight bearing. Again, we've done this before, but I'd like to take it a little bit further than I did on Sunday. So we will try and come up into a full balance. I'd like you to have a brick. So this will be really familiar to you. So we're going to place the brick between the index finger and the thumb, and then bring the forearms down. So we're going to do some work on forearm balance. And yeah, that's right. So bringing the wrists down, elbows down. As I've said, I like to bring my elbows a little bit tighter in than my shoulders. But it might not work for you doing that. So you could go wider, you could go narrower. And then we're going to tuck the toes under and push up into dolphin for a moment. So the knees can stay bent. The head, personally, I quite like to lift here. And I'm pushing through the forearms and the wrists. And this is going to sort of, what's the word? Oblige or obligate. It's going to require that the external rotation of the shoulders happens and stays there, which for most people is more challenging, which is why we've got the brick there, so it just stops the hands sliding in towards each other. So you're pushing through the forearms, try and emphasize grounding the wrists. If you want more intense work, then walk your feet towards your hands. And when you're ready, you can always stay a bit longer, but we are going to repeat. Come down, take a pause there. So yeah, second version. So it's helped to repeat and a bit of variety. So we bring the hands, index fingers together, thumbs crossed. Okay. So you make like a triangle on the floor. The palms are down, my thumbs are crossed, my index fingers are together. I'm sure you've seen me do this before, like that, if you've got a doubt. So you make like crossed thumbs, index finger together, palms flat. So now we are inwardly rotating the shoulders a little bit. So push through the forearms again, lifting back. And exploring this pose. So the main tendency is to want to fall forwards. So we can resist that by pushing from the forearms and lifting the sitting bones. The head is free in the sense that it's not on the floor. And you can even if you can either look down so that you've got your neck in extension, or it can be interesting to explore releasing the neck, releasing the head down, and softening the sides of the neck. So you're really emphasizing more the work in the arms and shoulders, checking in with the sensations, upper body strength work. And when you're ready, releasing down. Again, take a pause there in child's pose. Breathing. Okay, and then last version here. So with the dolphin, so we take the forearms, to parallel. So we're again obliging them to externally rotate, but with no brick. Okay, so third version, placing the forearms down. Yeah, this is it. Well, it gets easier with practice. I'd say this is more difficult. So the palms down in line with the elbows in line with the shoulders. Small adjustments can make a difference. So as I said, bringing my elbows a bit tighter in helps me to activate the outer arms more easily. And then again, pushing. Also for me, it's been helpful to really think about grounding the wrists and the palms to stop the hands moving around. And then pushing through forearms, head again, checking that I'm releasing in my neck. Not creating any excessive tension there. Lifting sitting bones. Releasing the neck. I mean, I find this quite enjoyable, but I can imagine for some people it really is not enjoyable. It's not exactly easy, but it feels quite satisfying, that upper body work. So I'm not going to assume that's the case for everybody. So coming down. So this time again, thread the arms through the legs. This version of child's pose. If it's restful for you, let your head rest down. Again, enjoying that pressure, inner legs to outer arms. Reconnecting with the breath. So I'd quite like us to have a go, if we want to have a go at kicking up against a wall, okay? So this is what I didn't do on Sunday. So if you're going to do that, the idea is to not have the head on the floor. So if you want to have a go at it, I think it's a good thing to do from time to time. So I'm going to choose the index fingers together, thumbs crossed. And I'm going to bring the tips of the middle finger into the wall. So I'm quite close to the wall. And then pressing through the forearms and then walking in and kicking up. Okay. So I'm looking down. You can play with the head position up or down. But the head's definitely not on the floor. And it might actually be easier because you've got this downward weight through the shoulders rather than having to push back against the floor. Have a go, have a couple of goes, okay? If you don't want to do that, that's fine as well. So I'm going to tuck the shirts in for the second go, and I'm kicking up. So the wall is there to support me. It's like a spotting. Okay, good. Coming down for a moment when you're ready. And I'll just sit back on the feet. Yeah, if you want to have another go, that's fine. What I was saying on Sunday, as we know, because but these forearm balances are really beneficial for strengthening the shoulder girdle with the view to supporting lots of other poses, as well as just life in general. But it helps you support your dog pose, headstand, shoulder stand. Okay. Because you're freeing the neck there, it's a bit easier. Okay, so we'll come back to kneeling. If you want to be gentle on the knees, placing something underneath your seat. Okay. Yeah, we're going to do a little bit more of an opening sequence, stretching sequence. So, yeah, first of all, taking the arms out, winging the arms out. We've done this before, again, many a time. So it's circles, up to 30 circles, but extending from the center. So again, closing your eyes, taking awareness into center of your body in a sense of lengthening from the center to the fingertips. And the circles stay pretty much the same size. I don't know, 10 centimeters diameter circle, something like that, like a palm diameter. And I'm winging the elbows out, sense of creating space from the center to the periphery. Releasing the sides of the neck, tops of the shoulders. As we know, this starts off really easy, but builds up. So just working into that as it gets stronger. A couple more cycles, and then when you're ready, you rest. So being aware of which direction you're going in before you rest. Take a rest. Resting the hands into the lap for a moment. Growing your spine from the sitting bones to the crown. So there's a feeling the floor through the legs. So we're doing like a lot of work on the upper body, but stay connected with the pelvis, with the legs, with the feet. Coming into whole body awareness again. Extending your arms out again, like two wings. Go the opposite direction. Up to 30 times. Or I'm not really counting. I'm working to the point where I feel like it gets too much, and then just a couple more cycles and then release. Emphasizing lengthening from the center to the periphery. Sense of dropping the shoulder blades away from the ears. Softening the face, the eyes, the jaw. When you're ready, in your own time, can come into stillness. Again, resting the hands into the lap. Taking awareness down through the body, through the legs. Contact the shins with the floor, tops of the feet with the floor. Bringing the palms together now. Interlace the fingers and pushing through the palms, squeezing the elbows in, coming into Parvatasana. Mountain pose. Being aware which index finger base or which index finger is on top. The way that you've interlaced and squeezing the elbows in, growing. The spine, so a sense of lengthening up through the spine to the palms. We're pressing up to the sky. Feeling rooted through the sitting bones. As we exhale, take the arms wide. Palms once again together. Interlace the fingers the opposite way. Pushing through the palms away from you. Stretching, opening the fingers. Squeezing the elbows in. Experiencing the hands, and really feeling the hands there. Stretching the fingers across the palms. Elbows in, pushing up through to the sky. And release out to the side. I'd like you to get hold of a strap now. Coming into this little strap sequence. Just good to visit from time to time, okay? So we're going to bring the strap out in front of us. I'm a bit wider than the shoulders, so I'm pulling away the hands away from each other, and I go wide up and keeping the arms as straight as I can and move around the back of the body without being too playful with the upper body and spine. Okay, come back. Shorten the distance each time you come back. And then going up. The tendency is to play around, sort of distort the spine. So if you can keep the spine fairly neutral, the elbows straight as much as possible. Shorten the distance each time. We'll do this 4 or 5 times. Gaze going out towards the horizon. One last time, going straight up. and back. So I'm coming round. Okay, we're going to take the left arm up, the right hand behind me. So just swing around for this. The left hand is going up, my right hand is coming into the needle. Just depending on your flexibility in the shoulders, you bring the hands closer together. Personally, I like to bring the hands fairly close together. And I'm projecting through the top arm, left arm in this case, right arm comes in. I'm sustaining, I'm bringing awareness into my spine, looking to grow the axis, vertical axis. Swinging around to the other side, noticing the difference between the two sides. Right arm going up, left arm coming in. This is this kind of sequence is really helpful if you've been doing like physical work, using the arms, but it's also great if you've been, working on a computer as well, working on typing and all that kind of stuff. So kind of useful for everybody in some ways. Okay, back to the first side. So it might be helpful to shorten the distance between the hands. I'm projecting out and slightly back with my left arm. I'm projecting back and in with my right arm to the medial line, growing the spine. Sense of still feeling rooted through the legs, even though, the lower body's quiet. Come back to your second side. Play around with the distance between the hands if necessary. Gaze goes out towards the horizon. And release for a moment. Release the hands into the lap again. Hold on to your belt for a moment. Softening around the shoulders, around the neck. Awareness of what's going on around your upper body. Taking your belt now. So we're going to fold it into half. So this is like the full set with the strap work. Fold it into half and then fold it into half again. So it's like quarter, and then you take hold of the belt. I've got a little space between the hands, but I'm taking hold of the belt and then I'm placing the belt on the top of the head, really emphasizing this sense of lengthening up to the crown, feeling the sitting bones rooted, and then we push up. Let me see, this works with the exhale, pushing up, squeezing the elbows in, and then inhale. I'm actively pulling the hands away from each other, going down, and you can bring the belt to the top of the head or even go past that a little bit. But in exhaling, pushing up, the arms are active, they're on, they're engaged. I'm lengthening the elbows out to the sides on the inhale, exhale, pushing up. So you can work the arms quite strongly. So in theory, the idea is to inhale as we come down. You can stay with that, and exhale going up. And one more time, if you want, inhale down, exhale up, and then release down once again. hands into the lap. Letting go of the shoulders, letting go of the arms. Okay. Okay, from there, I'd like you to come off off your knees for a moment. Open the backs of the legs. Yeah. So we're gonna, this is where it's helpful. I remember doing this, it wasn't that long ago. Sometime during the winter, we did bits of the sequence. So we're gonna make a tower. It's fairly high. Okay, so it's going to be, this is a combined Gomukhasana and forward fold. So the strap you can place over your left shoulder. And the first time we're going to bring the arms into Gomukhasana, but the first time we're going to place the forehead onto the bolster. The second time we're just going to place the elbow. So you can try both of them. They're both really intense. So let's see, taking the right hand around the back of the body, can play around with that. And then the left hand goes up, left arm goes up, shall I say. And then we see if we can hook the fingertips. Now, if we can't hook, as we know, we can use the bell. So don't force your body here. And then you shuffle around. So you bring, as you release forwards, you bring your head and the elbow to the support. So this should be fairly mild, well, relatively mild, the first version here. Okay. And then we're going to hold for a bit, okay, hold for a minute or two. So I'm in Gomukhasana forward fold, but my forehead is supported, my elbow is supported, left elbow is supported. And I'm playing with the distance between me and the support. So you want to, it's not exactly comfortable. I mean, I'm really feeling this quite intensely on the right shoulder, the lower arm. You can breathe into that. So when you're ready, with an in-breath, we float up. Okay, and then release the arms for a moment. Wow. Yeah, I can really feel that right shoulder. So moving the strap over to the left side, if you're using a strap, if you know that's going to be useful. Taking the left hand around the back, left arm around the back of the body. And again, right arm goes up, reaches back. So it's similar to that movement we did right at the beginning, the tiger stretch, but going deeper. There's a sense of building up here, Vinyasa Krama, and then we release forwards. Forehead supported, right elbow supported. Oof, so much easier. So you're going to probably find one side much easier than the other for sure, as we know. Probably makes sense. I've said this so many times now, but it makes sense to work the easiest side first. So it's worth in your own practice thinking about that. It's kind of more pleasurable working the softer side, the more open side. Connecting with the breath, you can feel the breath against the thighs. And then with an in-breath, we're floating out. Try and lead up with your right arm, right elbow. Take a pause there. So the second version is where we just prop up the elbow, the tip of the elbow. So you probably need to move a little bit back. maybe not much, but it's like you let your head go behind the support and hang. So you need to be fairly high. You don't want the head on the floor particularly, though you could work with the head resting low, but the idea is to come into a flexion of the neck. So we'll move to the other side. My right arm goes around the back, left arm up, and I'm coming down and playing around a little bit. So it might even be easier, this version. So the head releases forwards and down, and I'm hanging off the left elbow, breathing there. Head is free. But as I said, you could rest the head, if it's coming to the floor, rest the head on the floor. But we're just playing with the dynamic of the stretch, passive stretch there. Connecting in with your breath. Is this easier? Is it harder than the first version? Floating up on an inhale, so really leading up with the breath, the in-breath, floating the left elbow up, release the arms for a moment. And pause between sides in your own time, moving to your other side. Taking your time to come forwards, propping up the right elbow this time. And releasing. So I'm really noticing this side's much more open in this way. So my head is coming to the floor. Yeah, so you could either have the head floating, head to the floor. When you're ready, from there again, floating up on an inhale. Okay, release the arm. Okay, from there, I'd like to bring your pile into the center of your mat. It does help having a fairly high pile. We're going to step over it and sit on the bolster. Okay. I learned this off Sadhata. Some of the sequence comes from Sadhata. I'm grateful to him. So what I find I have to do here is slide forwards, because my idea is to bring my hands down, and I want to take I think this is flexion of the shoulder. I will mix up flexion extension. So we're doing either flexion or extension. I should have checked this already. So I'm walking my hands back so I can feel the stretch in the front of the shoulder. That's the intention. The lower body is supported. I mean, you could go for a more intense version where you actually lift the pelvis off the support. And I like to keep the head up and I'm looking forwards and towards the horizon. So the head is not hanging back. So I'm protecting my neck. And we're holding this short, so I'm deliberately engaging the palms down towards the floor. Straightening the arms. Lengthening the sides of the body and lifting the chest. And feeling the work into the front of the shoulder. Feet grounded. Releasing the neck, so checking again and again what's happening in your neck, head. Okay, then from there, so we'll hold that for a minute or two. So coming up, you want to do that quite carefully. So you come up, sit back up onto your support, and close the eyes for a moment, feeling into the shoulders, growing the spine. So I'm going to give you an option now. So what I'm going to, one option is to go into a full shoulder stand, okay, which will be more demanding. So I suggest you do that the way that you usually do that, with a few bricks underneath the shoulders, or legs up the wall, okay? So yeah, I didn't do this with the group on Sunday because, you know, we're sort of beginning with them. So if I didn't want to teach shoulder stand online, but I know you know it. So it's a possibility to do a shoulder stand, and you can like go the full hog, as they say, with the strap and everything if you want. You can use the bolster underneath the sacrum. That really makes a difference in coming up and going down. And remember not to look at the screen. Once you're doing your practice, you're really focusing on keeping the head centered. And that's it. You don't want to be, you're working in your own body. So remembering, if we're doing full shoulder stand, trick is to really get this lift through the upper body. So we've really opened up the upper back and shoulders, so it should feel a bit more accessible. The sense of really trying to bring the hands down the back towards your shoulder blades. Now, ideally, the elbows are supported, so I've just moved a little bit deeper in to the support there. So the elbows are supported, and long. So if we're doing legs up the wall, I'm not looking, so I'm not sure what you're doing there, but legs up the wall, aiming to really rest there as much as is possible. So as we know, this is beneficial for circulatory system and lymph system. It's getting a bit of like drainage from the legs back to the heart. And can be restful for the joints, taking them upside down. But it's strong work. So you're doing the full shoulder, so it's strong work for the shoulders and neck area. So we build it up gradually, making sure that we're preparing well, as we've just done. You can resting there for like 10 or 20 breaths. Do checking that you're releasing through the neck, releasing around the shoulders. And sort of lengthening up to the feet from the back of the body to the heels. Checking in on your neck from time to time. So as we know, this is like contraindicated to anyone with neck injuries. As I said, it's really important to prepare this pose. The whole rest of the sequence, in a way, could be preparation for this. So the shoulders are open, start to strengthen that area. So if you want moving into a variation halasana, and so the feet go to the floor above the head, extend the arms away from you for a moment. In this case, something's taking the backs of the hands away from me. Similar but different to the mountain pose. Stretch the elbows in. And then releasing the knees down, and we're slowly unwinding. So I'm sure that wasn't 20 breaths, but maybe it was more like 10. So we just slowly come down. As you come down, really gentle. This is where it's helpful to have some support underneath the sacrum. I'm bringing myself a little bit higher. My head is the same height as the shoulders. And gently turning the head from side to side for a moment or two. So it really works into the sides of the neck, that pose. Often can be quite tight. Okay, when you're ready, I've got no idea what time it is. Oh, that's okay. Okay, so we're gonna move into resting now. So, but if you want to do one more pose, it's often can be nice to do a twist, as we know after doing that. So, that's an option. Okay, so I'm going to take a twist where I wrap my left forearm around the legs and move the legs to the left. Got nothing behind me, just the floor, and I'm turning gently to the left, sinking both shoulders. It just helps to soften, we could say soften like around the chest area, the upper back. Keeping my head centered, but you could also turn the head opposite way to the legs. Floating yourself to the other side, one leg at a time. Shoulders sinking, so we're emphasizing to sink the shoulders, you need to release the shoulders. To release the shoulders, what is part of the intention of the pose is to release around the upper back and the shoulders, particularly the left shoulder if you're turning to the right. Left shoulder heavy and releasing. So with that sequence, obviously, if you're working with more beginner level, you could stay with legs up the wall, or the Viparita Karana using the foam bricks, half. Sometimes we call it half shoulder balance. If you didn't want to go into full shoulder balance, that would make the sequence more, or make it more gentle. Okay, from there, floating legs to center. So I'd like you to set up for Shavasana. So make sure you're going to be warm enough. And some support, use your bolster under the knees. And yeah, just take your time to come to resting to the floor. Once you do come to the floor though, I'd like you to explore doing Shavasana, at least for the first minute or two, by where you fold the arms again, if that worked for you. We did it right at the beginning with Supta Baddha Konasana. So you just let your arms rest over the front of the body. So that may or may not be comfortable. So you could take them higher, but with the intention of really softening the space between the shoulder blades. So we're only doing it for like a minute or two. But I think it helps to bring awareness because it's gently pulling the shoulders away from each other. Shoulder blades away from each other. It helps to bring awareness into that area, the intrascapular area. So all I'm doing is letting like the arms hang over the front of the body and being aware of the like inner borders of the shoulder blades, the upper spine, and breathing into that area as well. I can imagine in some cases that just feels quite claustrophobic, okay, but you can try changing the arms the other way, just for a minute or two, and let your awareness rest in the back of the body, particularly where the body meets the floor, shoulders meet the floor. Highlighting attention in the upper back and the shoulder blades. And when you're ready, you can take another hand arm position, whichever works for you. Resting the hands down by your side or onto your body. And again, a sense of letting go into space, letting go into gravity. Your body weight being taken up by the floor, being supported. I think if we're more conscious now of the body than we were like an hour ago, we've got this inward orientated mindfulness, inward orientated attention we've been working on the last hour or so. Resting into your own inner space, your belly, the legs, pelvis, chest, heart, center, the arms, head. But we can also now begin to take our attention outward orientated. So being aware of this physical space that you're in around you. Maybe you're aware of other people in the building. aware of the temperature of the room, the light resting on the eyes. Thus, you can think about the activity that you may or may not be moving into. I'm sure you're going to be doing something. So just taking your awareness into whatever you're going to be doing next, but like this, like a gentle probing into the future from where you are now, of course. Savoring any sense of calm or rest or well-being that we've generated. Noticing any uncomfortable areas of your body. Thank you very much. And see you soon. See you next week, one way or another. Thank you very much.